Hello, everyone, and welcome to Embodying Your Higher Self Tools for Conscious Living. And my name is Michelle Champaka. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Tanja Powell, and she will be jumping on shortly. I hope everybody is doing well. We're going to talk today about the current energies and the challenges that myself and everybody else included in the world are experiencing. It's been a very strange indeed. So just sit back for a moment, and Tanja will be coming on soon. And in the meantime, I'll just play some music and you can enjoy the sounds of some soothing music while we're waiting for Tanja. And it looks like our guest, Tanja Powell, has just arrived. Welcome, Tanja. It's so great to have you here. And even with all the little hiccups that and everything, I appreciate your strange time indeed. It's really strange.
Yeah, I knew something was going on. I'm like, maybe it's supposed to be 3:30, so I had it in the back of my head. So thank you for emailing. But yeah, I'm in Vancouver. I think we just had the times a little mixed up, and that's
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes. So let me go ahead and introduce you to our listeners. I don't see how many people are online because I'm on the web version, but usually there's quite a number of people, over 200 or more, listening into the live shows that I do. So Tanja Powell, she's not just a guide, but she considers herself a conscious connector here to light up your path and activate your true soul essence. And her journey has been all about igniting the spark within you and guiding you towards your authentic self. And she believes she's here to assist humanity during this transformative time on earth. But here's the twist. She doesn't have a rigid plan. She surrenders to the flow of source energy, letting it lead the way so that she can in turn guide you on your unique journey. And Tanja feels her path is ever evolving. She's all about breaking free from limitations, embracing the unknown, and exploring the uncharted territories of growth. I love that. I love that, Tanja. So welcome. It's so great to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. It's a beautiful day here. Definitely, I don't know if anybody follows. So I woke up feeling a little beat up. So I don't know if you wake up from your sleep, whatever you want to call it, astral travel, other timelines, whatever people prefer to call it. But I woke up this morning and messaged one of my soul family and said, what the heck was going on last night? Because I felt like somebody beat me up. And she's like, oh, let me tell you, because we often join at night, and she remembers things more than I call her a seer. So she's the seer, I'm the knower. And so we make a really good team that way.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we closed a timeline last night where I was actually being tortured. And so then I'm like, oh, that explains why I feel this way. And so I just did some work on myself and I felt better. But sometimes it's nice to know the why do I feel this way.
Wow.
So yeah, and every day is a new day. No 2 days are alike. And so when you wake up and you say, I wonder what magic's going to happen today. Wonder what'll unfold today. And you have the curiosity and wonder like a child. It really shifts you and your perspective rather than the ho-hum doldrum of life, so to speak, that one came from before they had this spiritual awakening.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I've actually today was the first day I went out. I kind of locked myself in the apartment for 2 days. I felt very strange, and I didn't want to go outside. And I was like, I pushed myself to go outside today. I'm like, what's going on? I felt really tired, no energy.
Yeah.
I just was like, okay. And then I talked to a friend. We met for lunch, and she's like, yeah, things have been really weird for her. So, yeah, I know we're going to get into that a bit more. Well, I guess we could get into it
We
now.
might as well jump in now. You're leading the way.
So what in your opinion is going on? I'd love to hear your perspective on what's happening with the collective and the energies that we're
Yeah.
encountering now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so here's my beliefs, and everyone has their own beliefs, and so it just is what it is. But I believe that this realm, and I'm going to take you guys back a little bit to understand how these energies are where they are right now. So, from my understanding from the people that I've connected with, because I am a conscious connector and I know people around the world with different perspectives, and some of those perspectives really resonate with me and some of them don't, and that's okay because everyone has their own. That's what's so beautiful about this experience. And there's a woman, Lisa Harrison, and she's out of Australia, and she gets messages directly on the realms. And so we can call them dimensions, we can call them I call them dimensions or realms, whichever you prefer. So the construct that we live in. So if everything is energy, right, and everything is sacred geometry when put under a microscope and proven by science, and everything is vibration. So this realm has been created for us to explore as souls having this human experience to have soul growth. This is, and so we come in and we wipe our memory of who we truly are so that we have a real human experience, so that we get to, and the whole point of, let's call it the game, the whole point of the game is to remember who you truly are. And so, not unlike me as a teenager loving the game Zelda, I now feel like I'm in the real life version of that. And that's why the curiosity and the signs are there when you're the observer. And so we go through life this way. And in this realm right now, what happened is it was the first and only realm created with full free will. And some took it a little too far, like stealing the mom's car and taking it for a joyride and destroying the car in the meantime. It got taken too far, and Source is now basically clawing that back, so to speak. Now that's too far. You've taken it too far. We're gonna bring it back, and it's written in the time anyway. Like the whole solar system is like a clock, and we can look at astrology. We can look at the human body. We can look at the organs, and so. But in this realm, we've been, as of April, a new version went live and we were moved over. So call it another timeline version of the same. And the reason for that was to squeeze out any of the negative energies and have them go back to their realm, so to speak, or to where they should be residing. And so we've had this beautiful, since March, unfolding of energy shiftings and changing and shiftings and changings and up levelings. And so it's like being on a roller coaster ride based on the collective energy of everyone. So I just want to say up front, no matter what's going on in the external right now as a show, I call it, that we've won. So we're on to the next. We're waiting for the collective to catch up. And so we have the energy has already been done. We're just waiting for that to now come into the reality, so to speak, into our awareness, into the physical. And so that's currently happening. And so you're seeing things play out like, oh, we're going through this again. Why are we going through this again? Because of the way we create this loop of cycles based on the collective energy. And so as soon as more of us, and those of us guiding the light and using the light for the greatest good of all, we are past a tipping point and we're just waiting for the rest to catch up, because we really don't want to leave souls behind per se. So what's happening right now is there's a lot of collective energy. There's still some fear being played out. There's still some concern, because a lot of souls still don't realize that they're a soul having a human experience, and that in order to shift your perspective and change your vibration, one has to come to realize that everything that is visual to you is actually a reflection of what's in you. So it's a projection. We're not taking sights in, it's a projection of what we have within us. And so we can control our reality. We are manifesting beings. And so there was a really big collective shift the last couple of days, and we all felt it. And we were like, ooh, that was heavy. And it's because of some of the things playing out in the physical still that people are witnessing, and they're going into fear. And so we'll pick up on that, and we'll pick up on that more and more as it clears out, because we're all basically running it through our system to release it. So it's this energy that's being activated from others. And so as we do the work we do, we are taking it in and we're transmuting it within the body, if that makes sense. That was a long answer. Sorry.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, because I do a lot of work with the collective, and I knew, I was like, this is not all mine. This is something is going on here. I was just wiped out. Every morning I woke up, even today, I was like, what's going on? And so this might be a good point to ask the question. what do you do with that? Like, what tools do you use to help release that heaviness that
Yeah.
you're in the collective?
Yeah. So the first thing I always do is it mine? Right? Is this mine? No, it's not mine. Oh, is it the collective? Yes, it's the collective. Well, however you get your yes or no answers, you can dose it, you can body dose it, you can use a pendulum, whatever you do, or you might just have a knowing. So there's always a way to get the answer for any questions you have, and you can often just say, "Can you give it to me so I understand it?" Right? And you'll start to get signals in your body. And I knew it was collective. So I literally go out bare feet if you can on the earth, and I actually put my hands on a rock, and I'm just like, transmute this through me now, please. I send it into this rock. You can send it to the sun, you can send it to the earth, but I definitely I'm not afraid to take things on because I'm a very big container. So I have a very big being, and I don't mind doing this work. I definitely so put my hands on the rock and I just said, "This is not mine. Please send it into the rock," and may the rock transmute it. So you can rely on things to help you transmute. You could use crystals. You can send it into Mother Earth through your feet. You can send it up to the sun, run it through your chakras, and send it up to the sun. Whatever resonates for you. And then I often do a bit of a reset on myself. So meditation. I'll sit and run through my system and clear it all out with pure white light, and just ask for my vessel to be purified, just so that I can operate in a new way. And then I tend to nap on those days. I call it nap.
Wonderful. I lost you for a second. Not sure what happened.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. I think those are great ideas. I also use a tool that I learned when I was studying access consciousness, which works really well. I identify, is this mine, or is this something else or someone else's? And then I return, if it's not mine, I return it back to sender with consciousness attached. And I say that several times. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I also like doing that with my feet on the ground, barefoot on the ground, because it feels more powerful. But that tool has really worked well for me as well. Just returning it back to sender with consciousness attached, and what that does is it's not sending back any bad juju, but it's allowing it to go back to whoever or many people that it comes from, and transmute it for them as well. So
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that tool.
Yeah.
I use the tool, but people definitely right now they need all the tools they can get because it has been heavy.
Yeah, and it's also the most exciting time to be here. We chose this. We chose to be here now, right? This was by choice. Nobody's here by fault. That's for sure anymore. We all chose to be here. There's a lineup of souls wanting to come in to join in on this transformation time on Earth that'll happen in this lifetime.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know we're kind of going backwards a little bit, but I'd love to know, how did you get to where you are now? Like, what was the catalyst in your life that really shifted you onto this path?
Yeah, so it started. I run a painting business, house painting, interior exterior house painting. I've had that for 17 years now, and I'm just on the cusp of selling it and transmuting it, so that I may go on and forge this new path, which I'm already doing at the same time. So I'm getting tired of the bridge. It's wearing on me, so to speak. And I was hitting a flux capacitor point where I could no longer operate the way I was operating with the business, and so I was looking for a business coach. I found a business coach, and with that business coach came a master coach to work with me one on one. And we were chatting, and at the time I was extremely overly busy because I was doing too much. I was doing the quotes, I was managing all the clients, I was doing all the invoicing. Like I was running through pretty hard, and I bootstrapped it. So my bringing up was, my dad told me I'd never be anything, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll show you. And that's how I kind of pushed through life, very male, action oriented, and not the soft, fluid way I operate now, thank goodness. And so as I was speaking with this coach and explained to him, I'm just so busy, and he says, yes, and your mind is just giving you what you're asking for. And there was like a light bulb went off, because I went, oh. And then we went on to a conversation around, well, your mind's not really your friend per se. It's there to do your bidding, basically. And so once I got off the call with him, I ended up looking up some retraining your brain, because once I get an idea in my head, I was like, well, I need more on this now, because I can't wait a month to talk to him again. This is going to take a year to work through that way. And I ended up with Mind Valley and working in some Mind Valley. They have a bunch of online courses, and I'd say more personal development, not as spiritual per se, although there's some spiritual people in there. And I ended up with a Marissa Peers program, Uncompromised Life. And that was a bit of a reset and assisted me. And I actually went on to Mind Valley and hosted seminars for them for about a year and a half as a master certified trainer with them, until they tried to tell me how to do things and what to do. And then I went, yeah, no, that's not me. And what I realized through that process was that everybody was just looking for connection. They didn't want the course. They didn't want to sit through. It was basically Vishen's book, if anybody knows. And if they don't, then it was basically a seminar based on his writings in a book, which was all his teachings he'd already been doing that everyone already knew. So it was kind of a redundant thing to host these, but people were coming because they wanted to connect. They wanted to connect with more like-minded people. And so that's where my business, Adventures for Connection, came from. First, it's about connecting with yourself, and then connecting with other like-minded people through adventure, generally around good energy spots on Earth, and possibly once in a while plant medicine as well. And so that took me on a path, and it was probably just around March of 2020, when everything kind of shifted in the world. And right away, it was like, just before that, I'd been activated a bit more, but it was like a hard, like, slam on me as far as, are you paying attention now? Do you see what's really going on? And so that took me on quite a path of, I went down every rabbit hole. So I knew what was going on, and I didn't absorb anything. I just observed. So I had this huge awareness all of a sudden of what the whole construct looked like. And I was like, oh, this is what's going on. And I did that for about 6 months and just stayed the course, ran my business. And then all of a sudden, last January, I got this like ding, it's go time. And I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? And I knew I was here to help the collective, because I couldn't think about anything else. Like, I could not think about anything else. It was like, you're here to help humanity. You're here to help humanity. It was like a mantra. Okay, what do you want me to do? And so in that surrendering, I ended up working with a bit of a decoder truther, and I still work with him, but we're switching everyone over to spirituality, which is really beautiful. And so in working with him, he's now shifted, and we're shifting this whole collective to work on themselves. And so I get just guided daily what I should be doing, how I should be doing it. I've had some really good friends. I have a good friend who had a Kundalini awakening probably about 10 years ago. And for 7 years, she downloaded to me all the information that was going on for her, because I was the grounding person for her. She's like, you're the most grounded being I've ever seen, right? And the biggest container. So I can hang on to all this information, and it's second nature to me. I didn't know it was a gift until it was pointed out. And Rain just shared everything that happened to her during the ascension, what's going on. In fact, she's just come back around for me to help clear her. Because I said to her, I keep messaging her and thanking her. Thank you for that information. It's made my path so much easier, because I'm like, oh, I know about this. Oh, I know about this. And so it's like I've had this catalog of information to pull on. And if I don't, then I ask and I get the answer. And that's what I'm saying about it. I can't be rigid on anything. I can't follow one modality, because there isn't only one way. There's multiple ways. And then there's my way. And I believe everyone should follow their own path.
Yes. Well, the title of this show is How to Activate Your True Soul Essence.
Exactly.
So, do you have any particular tips on that, or what would you like to say about that in terms of your knowledge and wisdom?
Absolutely. So I also, in the interim, during the research time, I'll call it, did a freedom from self-sabotage coaching program as well. So just so I better understood how to reprogram people and help them reprogram themselves, basically, because that's what you're really doing. If they don't do the work, it doesn't work, right? So
Right.
yeah, you can see all the spiritual people you want, but if you're not going to embody anything, it's not going to work for you at all. So in doing that, the things that really stood out that I've sort of created as a bit custom, which is always in motion, so to speak, is becoming the observer of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And because you're a manifesting being operating at all times, everything you think about, everything you speak about, and everything you act upon is manifesting your reality. And so then, therefore, it would be really important to start to pay attention to that. And if you find your mind is too busy, active meditations, getting outside, not with headphones in, listening to music or a podcast, but actually focused on nature. And what are you hearing? What are you sensing? What are you feeling? Activating and getting in touch with how you feel, because we've been so cut off from our feelings and so much forced into the mind, because that's part of the program that we've had in the system that we've been running through, so to speak. And in order to undo that, it does take a little time, but as with all things, one can do it quite efficiently, or you can take your time and enjoy the process. But I really find that active meditation was definitely my starting point, and how I moved a lot of energy was hiking in nature with no headphones. I would just go out for an hour and go for a walk and a total reset, because nature nurtures. The frequency in nature is 432 with the green. If you've got green trees, trees are all sentient beings. So, if you're going to sit under a tree, even if you're not an active person, or you go watch the river, there's many ways to do it. And then you start to train yourself to be keenly aware, because you're not the one speaking and you're not the one thinking. You're the one observing that. And that's a big switch for people. And so that's what I mean about the observer. So it's my first point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's something I want to speak about, which I think a lot of people don't, it's a little bit of a tricky thing. How do we distinguish between what we're manifesting by what we say, think and do versus what is intuition? So, sometimes our intuition might be warning us about something. Really, are we creating that reality? Because how do you distinguish between the two of what we're thinking and what we're intuiting?
Yeah. So for me, intuiting is always quieter, softer,
Hmm.
gentler, even if it's a warning. It's, I mean, if you're going to get in a car accident, you may have somebody yell, you may hear somebody yelling. Absolutely. If it's something you need to act on in that kind of moment. But most of the time, it's more of a feeling. I'm really big on dowsing to know the difference between the two, so that I
Hmm.
can check. I used a dowsing rod, and I'm really good with the dowsing rod. I worked with a master dowser also during the last few years, exploring nature and ley lines, and so I'm quite into that as well, because again, that's a feeling thing. And the dowsing really helped me to listen to the difference between the two. But most of the time, it's listening, and it's how does it make you feel. You will know what's true for you. Some people get god bumps, goosebumps. My crown now just lights right up when something's like, pay attention, right? This is important, pay attention to this, this is yes. And so I think it's figuring out what are those, because your body will never lie to you. What signals does your body give to let you know that you're onto something, or that you should take another direction? Now the ego usually wants to win,
Right.
and so, right, the ego usually likes to be in control. And so one way to deprogram that a bit so you can get into it, there's a really just a mantra, even, I'm not this body nor am I this brain. And just keep saying that. And I have thoughts that I don't like, I used to flick them away. And now I have this inner peace and calm that I it's clear to me what's what. Very clear.
I love that. I'm not this body, nor am I this brain.
You're not. You're so much more than that. You're only
Um,
part of your soul is in this vessel right now. It can't handle all of it. But this is the beautiful thing about being here, is we will get to ascend within this body for the first time in human history.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, no, I just wanted to make that distinction because
Yeah.
a lot of people out there that are listening are intuitive, like myself, and it's like, and they may not know. And so I think your explanation was a great way of helping
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
understand is the difference between the monkey mind, which is creating all kinds of craziness in our lives, and our intuition. And
Yeah.
I agree, it is softer. It's a knowing. I get goosebumps, or I get tingles in my body. That's how I
Hmm.
or I'll get a heaviness in my chest. Um, if something feels wrong, for me, it's very visceral. But for other people, they might hear messages or they might see visions. I mean, we all have different psychic abilities. But one thing I've noticed, and I want to bring this up too, because I think it's relevant to our conversation, is lately I've been hanging out with a friend, and she's a dear friend, but she has a lot of negative points of views, and at some points a little bit catastrophic. And I'm starting to get confused by what is hers and what is mine, and really getting clear about what is my truth. I don't want to get sucked into her reality because that reality isn't really where I want to be going. So I have some ideas about what I need to do to separate myself, but I'd love to hear about your ideas because I think a lot of people do get sucked into other people's realities, and this is a problem.
Well, yeah, because we're humans and we're stronger together than we are apart. There's this herd mentality about us, to be honest, right? What is everyone else doing? Oh, that's the safe way to go. I've always been way more of a black sheep and always gone my own way. Oh, everyone's going that way. What's over here? And to go in the opposite direction. Or if I don't like the direction something's going, I'll switch it. I do have a few friends that way, and I tend to vibrate so much because I won't take it on that they tend to spin out a bit and leave, which is interesting. But definitely, how does she make you feel when you're hanging out with her? And I try and give people perspective on stuff. Well, that's interesting. How would you know that for fact? Right? Do you know that for fact, or is that something you've heard? Because people are relying on those outside of themselves to get the answers which are already within them. And so they often don't know what's true for them because they're not used to thinking for themselves. They're not used to following their body and following their intuition. And so I do have one friend for sure that sounds really similar that just keeps saying to me, well, I need to be in this 3D world. And I'm like, yes, that's true, but you can choose to observe it versus embody it, right? There's a difference. So i I step in and out, and it's more about an awareness of what's going on. So for those friends, I would seriously just consider limiting some time with them for a bit so you know your truth. Yeah.
Absolutely, I think that's true, and I also, I think sometimes, I don't know if you can hear me. I just realized my mic was down. I think sometimes that being a Cancer, my astrological sign is Cancer. We're very, very sensitive creatures. We have a hard shell on the outside, but on the inside, we're very sensitive. And it's something that I'm aware of that I can absorb a lot from people. So, definitely for me, being alone in nature, as you were sharing before, nature is definitely my source of healing and cleansing in the ocean. And as an introvert by nature, I get recharged by being alone. So it's like knowing who you are, I think, is really important, knowing what it is you need to get back to center. And a lot of people don't know, like, they're not aware of, what is it that I need? And because they haven't had time, they've been living such a busy life and
Yeah, they're in
haven't had,
survival mode. They're in
yeah,
survival mode. They're just trying to survive, so there's no room for anything else, which, I can completely understand. I was there. I know what that, and that's the beautiful thing too. I trust about going through this is that I come from it as a very practical, down to earth. I meet you where you are, and I think with that being so grounded that it's just practical to me, right? And so I don't come off as super woo woo. So I can speak to a large collective of people that are not spiritual at all, but I can reach them, which is quite interesting. So, but yeah, it's what you need to do to reset you. And what I find is I had a lot of people. I had a girlfriend. We need to talk about a relationship. We need to break up. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know there was such a thing. Okay, what's going on? Well, we just, I just not getting what I need from you. I'm like, oh, okay, okay, no problem. And so I wouldn't trauma bond with her, right? And so it's interesting to watch these people ebb and tide out of your life, and some will come back and some won't. I had another one spin out and loses complete shit on me about my opinions around certain things medical that I wasn't willing to take. And oh, I'm a threat. And I'm like, whatever. So I just let people be themselves. I don't try and reconvince them. I just let them be themselves. That's all you can do.
Absolutely, yeah, and just really come back to your truth. And I'd love to just talk a bit more about your experiences with plant medicine and how that is
Sure.
interwoven into the work that you do.
Mm. So I'll share first that throughout my life, because I didn't fit in, I definitely dabbled as far as like substances and alcohol and different drugs. I've tried most. I would say nothing really stuck because what would happen is I would do it and then everyone would be like, "Are you a narc or something? Are you a cop?" And I'd be like, "No, why?" "Well, you just don't seem like you're high." And I'd be like, "Yeah, that'd be a thing, huh?" Because no matter what, I was always highly aware still, right? I was always still present. So I think what happened for me with that is when I gave everything else up and I had been using alcohol, and that was probably the one thing I didn't really give up because it helped me unwind at the end of the day and it's so socially acceptable. And when I gave that one up, um, it allowed me to really get clean per se. And I have quite a few friends that are shamans, light workers. And my one shaman friend was staying with me, and we were doing some psilocybin mushrooms, particularly PE, which is one of the stronger ones. And because it can help you connect with nature, you can microdose in nature. So I did a bit of microdosing, and it really helped me to just be more me and let go of everything else. And so it's a really nice thing for people that are maybe struggling to get out of their head, right? It's a nice way to bridge it. And microdosing isn't strong. They all come from a shaman, so they've been blessed in the way they're grown. And that's probably my favorite one. And then I'll explain a couple other ones. And then you can do stronger doses. So I've done up to 5 grams on my own and done like a huge body purge. So I just do it when I'm called to do it. I don't do it all the time. I'm not even microdosing anymore. I did mushrooms this past weekend at Vedette Lake, where there's ley lines and an energy vortex. And we were doing a purification lodge at the same time, and we did a medium dose. And I was there with David Pills, who's an oracle and a Star Nation pipe carrier, wonderful fellow, and then a couple other friends. And so that was a beautiful experience. And I can explain the experience of any plant medicine. It's actually you need to surrender, and maybe that's why I've also found surrendering so easy. Because in order to allow the medicine to do what it needs to do, you need to get out of your head and not fight it. So it is a surrender. And recently I was at Mount Shasta connecting with some other friends doing another retreat with something called Changa, which is a DMT derivative, and it's plant medicine as well. And we are all, our third eye is basically, we have DMT within us. We're just not able to easily activate and access it ourselves. You can through breath work. I've definitely hit it close a few times. And as these energies shift and open, we will get it more and more and more per se. But in the meantime, it's a good way to get out of your own way and have an experience which can teach you what you need to know, can clear things for you. I've had a lot of body healing. When I did the DMT down at Shasta, as soon as I dropped in, I'm like, I've done this before. And it wasn't in this lifetime. It was just I knew the medicine right away. It was a recognizing. And and that was a full surrender. And I had to surrender a few times in that one because I wasn't anxious. I wasn't worried. I thought I had surrendered. And then it was like, no more. And I was like, okay, I fully surrender. And then boom, that's when I could feel it running through my body and upgrading my system. So it depends on who you're around and how much you trust, but this is a really beautiful blend that he's created that is kind of one of a kind. And so that's a different experience. I've done ayahuasca, not my medicine, but that's okay. I find it's not a good introductory. It's too strong for most.
Yeah, I
um,
agree.
and it can literally kick your ass if you're not prepared. And so this mushroom is a nice introduction, and then you can play with other things. Sassafras is a heart opening medicine. It's quite beautiful as well. Only plant medicines do I do, so nothing chemical at all. I only want to do the ones that are beautiful. I've done a bit of iboga. I've done San Pedro, which is from Peru, which is cactus, which
Yes.
is very, very long. I probably did too much, but that was an interesting experience. Yeah, when you're done with San Pedro's not done with you. It must have been like 10 or 12 hours. I'm like, I'm so done. I just want to go to sleep. So I have not taken that again recently.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have experience with psilocybin, and I hold sacred ceremonies, and I
Yeah.
also have experience with microdosing. And for me, microdosing actually helped to cure my depression. So
Yes.
yeah, it is a really incredible medicine because it literally, you know, psilocybin rewires your brain and it creates new neural networks and
Yes.
allows you to kind of like get out of your own way, so to speak. But
Yeah.
absolutely, when I've been holding space for one-on-one privates, the most challenging thing I've encountered is people just don't know how to surrender. They just don't want to
Yeah.
let go. The ego is so strong, and I'm just like drumming and like, let go, surrender. And
Yeah.
there's so much control there. And I think if people could just understand that if they can surrender the benefits of what you can receive. But there's that fear, I guess the fear of like, if I let go, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to be annihilated? What's going to happen to me?
Right. Right.
But
And that's something to build up to for sure.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I've yeah, I work a microdosing online with people and ship them down to them, and then we have a small group that we just get in there and talk about it. And I think once you build up the mushrooms in your system before you do a bigger dose,
yeah.
and you've been coached along the way and you start to trust, then it's much easier to surrender. I know my first time with the shaman, yeah, she was super frustrated with me because she's like, God damn it. Bloody ego. um, and
Yeah.
now I can do a dose by myself and just fully surrender and run myself through. In fact, I was listening for the longest time when I did mushrooms to these two shamans down in Peru that she had a recording of. And then I was up at Vedette Lake one time and I had put it on for a friend of mine and I, and it was so funny because all I got in my ear was, are you going to turn the music off now? Are you done listening to the music? Are you going to go outside? Come on, let's go. And so I was just being pushed. I finally sat up and turned off the music and said, we're supposed to go outside. I'm not supposed to listen to the music anymore. So again, relying on something else external when I didn't really need anything. So it was just a really funny way of them pushing me. Like, are you going to turn it off? Are you going to turn it off now?
Yes, yes. I mean, music can certainly facilitate
Yeah.
shifts. It depends on how the music is used. Like, I recently had a ceremony in this beautiful place in nature by this ancient tree, and like it looked like a mini cenote, but it was like a man-made pond. And the women were laying there in nature, and the music I played was just beautiful. Like it allowed them to let go and surrender, and they were able to experience the healing and transformation. And I do
Awesome.
believe that nature is a better place if you can find a
Yes.
place where you're not going to be disturbed. I reserved the place, and so that we were not disturbed. It was on a private property. Of course, that's easier. Like I've thought about doing mushrooms at the beach, but here in Puerto Escondido, the security comes around, and it just isn't. Unfortunately, it's not secured enough, and secured place is important so people can feel safe
Absolutely.
to let go.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. That's beautiful. Yeah.
So beautiful that you're doing this work. And I'd like to open it up to anybody who would like to come into the live studio and ask Tanya any burning questions you might have. Don't be shy. Just click on the phone icon if you see it and come in live. Or if you're feeling really, really shy, then you can type your message in the comments. But I'd love to offer that to the audience if anybody is wanting to come in. Sometimes they do, sometimes they prefer to be in the background. Either way,
Okay.
totally okay.
Hmm.
I wanted to just check with you, Tanya. What programs or services are you offering in the upcoming months ahead? What are you planning to do?
Ooh, on October 4th, we jet off to Egypt. So we're hosting. I'm hosting a retreat in Egypt. I was there in the spring and March. I was directed to go, and that was a huge activation for me actually, and healing, because I got to lie in the Giza in the sarcophagus, which isn't really a sarcophagus, but that's a whole nother story. And as I was in there, I actually microdosed before I went in, just so that I just want my head out of the way. I just want to make sure that I'm fully present in my body while this happens so that I can feel as much as possible. And so I had microdosed and went in there, and they paid off the guard so that he left so we could go in because you're not supposed to. And and we were there was another group of healers in there, and they all surrounded as we all took turns getting in and started humming, which is the resonance in there and part of the activation. Now I now know a little bit more, but I felt a jig within my head. It was like right in the middle. It was like a chink chink, and like something shifted and moved into place properly. And I was like, oh, that was interesting. I don't know what that was, but that was interesting. And literally, I did 2 weeks by myself there, and traveled around. I did have a guide that was a friend of a friend that I used when I needed him, and just really explored and used my rods and said, where do you want me to go? That was a full surrender there, because I did things like had a dream about this opal that this other spiritual fellow in Australia sent to me. He sent me an opal. I had a dream that I smashed the opal in half and was supposed to put half of it in the Nile. Like, I was literally on this adventure game. And I came back, and my quantum coach and good friend Serafina, Soul Family now as well, just took one look at me and she goes, what happened in Egypt? And I was like, activation? So, when you fully surrender, I also had an elemental collective come in Egypt because of my unconditional love. I'm really operating from the heart, an unconditional love for all sentient beings, and including all animals, and be able to connect with them in that way, and hold space and just hold love. Like, every question that comes to me, I'm like, what would love do? That's just how I operate.
Oh, that's beautiful. I just want to welcome ABC, who just entered the studio, the live studio. ABC, I invite you. Would you like to come in on the call and ask Tanya any questions? Just click on your phone icon, and I can accept you in. You're most welcome. That's beautiful. So when is this retreat going to happen again? What was the date?
So it's October 7th to the 21st. So it's either 2 weeks, or you can come for the first week. We've got private in the pyramid, so just us. So that'll be that everyone will get a chance to do the energy we'd like to run in there. And then we go down to the Red Sea, because going the private in the pyramid and private in the Sphinx. And we're doing a big purge there, because we've all had timelines there. And the goal is to clear everyone out and give them that support so they can let go of anything else that no longer serves them. And that's those that are coming are quite called to that. We already know. So we've already been doing work with them. And then we go down to the Red Sea and go for a rebirth, so to speak, and integration. And then we go up to Aswan and Karnak and go through the temples there. And I've got some special privates there. I've actually planted some crystals there hidden in plain sight. So I'm excited to go back. And just, I stay in small villages. We stay in quieter places. And we have lots of integration and just connection time, so that nothing's rushed, nothing's hurried. Everything is as it should be, and we can break out into groups again. And so I really run my retreats organically. And everyone's like, well, where's the itinerary? I'm like, I'll give you an outline, but I'm not giving you an itinerary. We don't run that way. Yeah.
I agree. I love that. I love that. And I also run retreats, so I understand this whole like point by point, hour by hour. No, 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 no. That's not going to happen. I can't do that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And besides this retreat, anything else
Yeah.
happening?
We just did Vedette Lake this past weekend, as I mentioned, and we ended up just being a tight group. The owner, the land keeper there, is not doing so great, so we gave him some space. When I get back, I'll be hosting in Vancouver a plant medicine overnight in the city. Yeah, probably about the third week of November. So if you get on the website, which is adventuresforconnection.com, and there's updates in there. And then after that, I'm doing a US bit of a tour, a circle. I would like to say circle tours, fire circle tours. And so definitely some plant medicine dropped in. I do drumming. I have a crystal bowl. I do some singing, which has been interesting because that's fairly new for me, and that came in Egypt. This humming and sounds, which is all tuning, right? Like, what's your frequency? And it's a good way to tune people and get them comfortable. I do a lot of hands-on stuff if I'm allowed to touch people, and all I do is move energy through me. So it's not me doing it. It's not quantum doing it. It's not Reiki doing it. It's just, source, please move this through me and give the person what they need. So I download codes into people sometimes. They definitely get healing. I ground um, large groups, and I'm to use my throat chakra as an activation to help guide souls through this transition. So I'll be doing that, and then I after that I'm not 100%. That's about 6 months out now, so I don't like to plan too far ahead because you never know what's going to come up.
We sure don't. We sure don't. And wow, sounds like you're doing wonderful things. I would love, if I could, except for I'm moving in November, I'd love to join your retreat in Egypt, but maybe
Next year, next year we're going back again, same time frame. Yeah,
next year is totally possible. And
yeah,
thank you so much for coming on the
yeah.
show today. Are there any last words you'd like to share with our listeners?
I
Anything at
just
all?
would love to everyone to know you're absolutely right where you're supposed to be. You chose when to be activated. You chose when to remember more of who you were. And so nobody is better than anybody else. We're all at just different points in this path. And if you can find someone to help guide you, it's the most beautiful experience to have because you don't feel alone. A lot of people are feeling alone. So find that connection, find your soul family, frequency family, whatever you'd like to call it, and just know there's no right or wrong. There's no wrong decision. There's only lessons, and they're all beautiful.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on the show. And let's see if we can do a round of applause
That's so cool.
for Tanja Powell. Sounds like you're doing awesome things. I will
You
post
too.
this for I'll publish this after the show, and I will put all the links so people can get in touch with you and find out more about your upcoming retreat and your programs around the USA and beyond. So,
Yes. And you too. Where are you moving to in November?
well, that's I don't know now. Things have suddenly shifted today, so that's part
Oh,
of
okay. There you
this.
go.
Yeah, so things are changing. So I don't know.
All
This
right.
is,
Well, we're
you know,
doing a convoy. We'll be doing a convoy through the U.S. So grab a trailer, come play.
awesome, Tanya. I love your energy and so good to have you on the show. And thank you everyone for listening to Embodying Your Higher
Yeah.
Self, Tools for Conscious Living. And check out what's going on for me at my website at
Mhm.
omkarahealing.com. I'm also going to be running a retreat next year in Bali. So,
Ooh,
yeah,
I like Bali.
I
Absolutely.
I used to live there. So, thank you, everyone. Lots of love and take care of you. You matter in this world, and you're special. You're needed. So, thank you, everyone, for being here and for supporting this show. And
Yeah,
goodbye.
lots of love. Thank you.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye.